I think we all do it.
I'm busy during the day, so while I'm out running errands, I call friends and family to see how they're doing.
If I'm already stopped at a red light, what does it matter if I respond to my text messages while I'm waiting for the light to turn green?
Okay, go ahead and start texting for me.
Okay.
Now, I want you to keep texting, but count to 10 for me.
1, 2, 3.
You see that short pause you just took? That was you being distracted by your text.
Yeah, I was trying to focus on the message, but I guess that's the point. You're right.
Exactly.
That's not good.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates suggest that distracted driving contributes to 10% of fatal crashes, leading to around 4,000 deaths and 400,000 injuries every year. Okay, go ahead and start texting. Now, I want you to stop texting, put the phone down, and let's drive. Okay, stop. What I see is you're not fully engaged in your surroundings. You're still distracted by the text.
Yeah, you're right, I was.
Our latest research found that mental distractions can linger for as long as 27 seconds, meaning even after drivers put down the distraction, they're still not fully engaged in the driving task. Okay, next time you get in the car, I want you to take your phone, put it in the center console, or a bag, that way you're not distracted by it.
Yeah, I can do that.
It's just not safe to drive while you're distracted. We can all be an example by putting our phone away while we drive. If an emergency arises while you're driving and you need to use your phone, pull over to a safe location and park your car. Be sure to have put your phone away and be fully aware of your surroundings before you proceed to drive again. Taking your eyes off the road, even for a few seconds, could cause someone injury or even death. Tell your friends and family the importance of not being distracted while driving to make our roads a safer place.
AAA, a force for good for over 100 years.
Safely driving a motor vehicle requires the full attention and focus of the driver. Distracted driving, defined as any non-driving activity that has the potential to distract you from your primary task of driving, has been found to be a factor in 80% of vehicle crashes. The serious impact of this issue has caused many states to establish laws against distracted driving. These states have instituted fines and potential prison time for those found guilty of driving while distracted. The bottom line is this: Using a cell phone while driving is incredibly dangerous and could cost you your life and possibly the lives of your customers. Not only is it prohibited by law, but you could be criminally charged for the act if you are involved in a serious accident while using your cell phone or other electronic devices, such as a smartwatch. That's why our agency and company prohibit the use of cell phones and other electronic devices while you're driving. It's a deadly distraction, and that's why it's prohibited as part of company policy. So remember, it could cost you your job. Every second matters, and you never want to have to say, I only looked down for a second. 1 second could be a deadly second. Always remember, your primary task is to safely operate your vehicle. Operating a transit vehicle is a challenging job. Not to mention, you're constantly surrounded by possible hazards. To safely accomplish your job, you need to avoid distracted driving and stay continuously alert to what's going on around you. And remember, distracted driving is deadly driving.
It was a split second. It took 2 lives in one day. You expect to be with somebody forever. He loved sports. He was an awesome father. Been together 32 years. The kids were always our top priority. He was always there for us.
You felt love when you were around him.
He'd go up to anybody to talk, carry on a conversation, no matter where we were at. He never wanted gratitude. He just wanted to help someone out. He just did it out of the goodness of his own heart. Sports were very big in our family. Dave coached, I coached. We just kind of had that connection.
I loved the game because I know he loved the game, and it was just something we could all share with him.
Dad was just a great teacher. He was always my catcher.
He had this awesome balance of being our biggest cheerleader and also patience.
My biggest and best memory with Grandma is probably tea parties. Like, didn't even think twice about it growing up, how special it was, but now looking back, it's just so cute. Love that.
My favorite memory with her is probably just playing cards and dominoes and her little kitchen table.
It was always fun to just stop in, and she always had something to talk about.
She's just the patriarch of the family. You could go to her for advice.
I remember them always saying that his job as a son was to always keep her young. It was a great example about how your relationship with your parents should be.
She helped take care of the kids with school. She came to their games, very supportive. She was 86 years old, but she lived a wonderful life. A very classy lady.
They were so involved with us. Like, we were their world, and so they did everything together but for us.
Morgan had a track meet at Manson that night, so we, basically that morning was, well, we'll see you at the track meet.
So on May 8th, I was actually at school. Dad just dropped me off.
Just another day going to work.
I was teaching. I was in my classroom, and the principal came to my door, and he said he needed to see me in the office. Dave and Velma had been in an accident. Dave was a very safe driver. And I asked what had happened, and they said someone hadn't stopped at the stop sign. Dave had gotten hit on his side of the car.
I woke up to a phone call from my husband that I needed to call into work, pack my bags, and head home.
At that moment, Dave was still alive, and they'd come in and they said they were trying to do everything possible. Then I asked about Velma, and they were getting ready to life flight her to Des Moines.
I just remember the whole way up there I kept asking, is everything all right? Are they okay?
And at that time, they came in. You said, the words you never want to hear. They did everything they could. But they couldn't save him.
And then the hospital had called me in the meantime and told me Dad didn't make it. And I just remember I was yelling at the guy on the phone, just saying like, no, you got the wrong person. That's not me.
You're at a loss. You don't know where to begin. But I know I repeatedly just said, I need you. There's nothing I could do. Because I know he was gone. There wasn't a scratch on him. He just looked like he was sleeping.
I remember walking into the hospital and it was like everything was slow motion. Like I had a gut feeling. I think we all did. And I walked into the room and my mom and my little sister are sitting there, and the only thing I really remember is my mom saying that Dad didn't make it.
Then I got to go in and see Velma, and I do remember the doctor just saying, don't tell her that Dave was gone, because they were very close and she wasn't awake. But I do believe that they can hear you, and so I just went in and I talked to her before they took her. She ended up passing away about 11:45 that night. I would do anything to have that time back. Because I never thought this would happen to my family. It was a split second. It took 2 lives in one day. I never thought I'd lose my husband. I never thought I'd lose my mother-in-law to somebody texting. Was that text message that important? Because our hearts have been broken.
Definitely tell my dad that he should be very proud of the woman he married. By far the strongest woman I've ever met and probably will ever meet. She has kept us 4 very close and has been our rock through this.
At first it's baby steps. You've got 4 kids, and depending on you to step up, besides losing him, my husband, my friend.
That split second changed our world for the rest of our lives.
I have no idea what my kids are going through. Even though I lost my husband, they've lost their dad.
Graduating high school, it was weird looking out into the crowd, not seeing your dad.
Renee not having her dad walk her down the aisle 6 months after the accident. That broke my heart.
My nieces and nephew would have a grandpa.
Dave would have been like right down on the floor playing with those grandkids. He loved kids. He'd always, even in church, you'd catch him, he'd be making faces at the little kids and stuff, playing tractors in the stands at a basketball game.
We're doing a very good job remembering them, and I think they'd be very proud. But I just wish we could tell them in person.
Those are the good memories, too, that help you get through. The impact that he had on the kids. Classmates of the kids saying, Dave was at every game. He was always there to support us. But all that was taken away in one split second that somebody wasn't paying attention. I never thought this ever would happen to us.
And it did. And it can happen to anyone else.
And I don't want to see anyone go through it.
Almost has to hit home for people to change. There's nothing that's worth it.
Hi, ma'am. Excuse me.
Hi.
Did you notice Chewbacca this morning?
I did not. Where was he?
Chewbacca, the Wookiee right there.
No, I didn't see him.
So I'm with the Wall Street Journal. I'm doing a video about people looking down at their cell phones instead of looking up.
Guilty.
Every morning here in San Francisco, hordes of commuters walk to their offices with their heads so engrossed in smartphone screens, they hardly notice they're stepping into traffic. It may have been funny when texters first started falling into fountains, but it isn't anymore. As smartphones have become more popular and more addictive, distracted pedestrians have gone from a joke to a serious problem. Over the last 5 years, emergency room visits by people who were glued to their phones in public places soared 124%. Some researchers now blame portable electronic gadgets on 10% of pedestrian injuries and a half dozen deaths per year. Most people recognize the problem, but think they're not guilty. Do you think you can really get away with multitasking? Enter Chewbacca, courageously played by my colleague Nate. He stood in this busy walkway while I waited in the wings to see whether texting pedestrians would even notice a famous Wookiee in their way.
Did you notice Chewbacca this morning when you were walking?
No.
He's right back there, the guy from Star Wars. Excuse me, sir. Did you notice Chewbacca?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
No, I did not.
No, I didn't know.
Right over there.
Oh.
No, sorry. You didn't?
No.
Oh, I didn't notice him until now.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I'm just getting to work, so I have to check my email before I go.
Not everyone missed Chewie. Some even stopped to take a picture. Psychologists call this inattentional blindness. Using a clown on a unicycle, Western Washington University psychology professor Ira Hyman Jr. conducted a more scientific version of my Chewbacca test. Half of the undistracted pedestrians passing by saw the clown, but only a quarter of people talking on a phone did. There's also plenty of evidence that using a phone changes the way you walk, either by slowing you down as much as a third or veering you way off course. Even the strong-willed are susceptible to a buzzing gadget, perfectly crafted to satisfy our brain's desire to find new things. But you don't need scientists or Chewbacca to tell you about how we're addicted to our phones. Just ask Manny, whose job it is to make sure your phone doesn't kill you. He guards the entrance to a San Francisco garage and stops cars from hitting pedestrians so engrossed in screens they don't even notice they're stepping into traffic. In 1 hour last week, we saw 70 pedestrians who never looked up while walking past this dangerous intersection. Some were watching TV shows, many were grimacing while pounding out emails. Manny's advice?
Look up from your device. Be attentive to what your environment is and your surroundings. You've got to be aware of more than just simply the first 2 feet in front of you.
Not everyone is going to always be able to resist looking at their phone. But if you do nothing else, put this thing away before you cross the street.
A vehicle fire is one of the most serious emergencies you can face. Both smoke and fire can be fatal and can spread rapidly. With most fires, you need to evacuate everyone immediately. Your priority is to protect people, then property. The three most common problems that lead to vehicle fires relate to wiring, hubs, and tires. Problems with all three can be prevented during your pre-trip and post-trip inspections, so be on the lookout for anything suspicious that could indicate a possible problem, especially one that could cause a fire.
Before you get behind the wheel, you should know this critical information about your fire extinguisher: where it's located, how to use it, whether it's fully charged and ready for use. If your fire extinguisher is not fully charged, replace it with one that is before you leave the yard.
Never continue to drive the bus if you suspect a fire. When you first notice or suspect a fire on your vehicle, you should stop the vehicle immediately and evacuate your customers as quickly as possible. Fires can spread rapidly, so don't delay in getting everyone to safety. Remember, don't hesitate, evacuate.
Make sure to adhere to the 7 emergency management response steps and the protocols on evacuating.
In the event of a suspected fire, it's important to shut down the vehicle and turn off all electrical switches. If it's safe to use the radio, notify the dispatcher of all the details as soon as possible. Otherwise, call dispatch as soon as possible with your phone from a safe distance from the vehicle, at least 100 feet away. You may decide to fight the fire if the following circumstances are met.
The fire is small. It's not in the customer area. You can get to it without any trouble. It doesn't involve a tire, and you believe you can easily and immediately extinguish the fire.
If the fire cannot be extinguished, you may need to use the fire extinguisher to clear an escape path.
The fire extinguisher can also be used to break through a window if you become trapped or only have that exit option. Do not attempt to put out the fire if you are unsure about anything. Instead, join your customers in a safe area outside the vehicle at least 100 feet away and wait for emergency responders.
For a number of reasons, tires can catch on fire. At 300 degrees, tires come apart and blow out. At 650 to 700 degrees, they can ignite from sparks. At 850 to 900 degrees, tires will combust. Tires are difficult to ignite, but once on fire, they can be very difficult to extinguish. So it's essential that you look for possible hazards when it comes to your vehicle's tires before you get behind the wheel. Following the proper procedures of extinguishing a fire or evacuating the vehicle will keep everyone safe. Remember, protect people first, then property.
When was the last time that you had to use a fire extinguisher? For most of us, fire extinguishers are one of those things we like to have around but hope never to use. Hi, I'm Rachel Walla with Ally Safety, and in this video, we're going to cover some quick tips on fire extinguisher use. It's going to include the types of fire extinguishers out there, when to fight a fire and when to evacuate, and lastly, how to use a fire extinguisher. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. To know about how to fight fires, you first have to understand the fire triangle. For a fire to exist, there has to be 3 elements in place. Those elements are oxygen, heat, and fuel. Fire extinguishers are designed on the type of fuel that may be needed to be extinguished. Using the wrong type of extinguisher can actually just make a fire worse. Think, for example, of an oil fire being extinguished with a water extinguisher. Now the oil is naturally going to float on top of the water, and the water will just encourage the fire to spread. So you have to know the type of fuel that you're going to need to extinguish to choose the right extinguisher. How fire extinguishers are designed is to remove just one side of the fire triangle. For example, a lot of the fire extinguishers are powder extinguishers. What they do is they suffocate the fire with powder, removing the oxygen. Or something like a water extinguisher will remove the heat from the fire. So you can see it's a pretty simple science all in all. The classes of extinguisher that you need to know are A, B, C, D, and K. Class A fire extinguishers are for ordinary combustibles, things like wood, paper, and cardboard. Class B fire extinguishers are for flammable liquids, like diesel, oil, gas, those types of things. Class C fire extinguishers are for energized electrical equipment. Class D fire extinguishers are for combustible metals. Those are things like sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Class K fire extinguishers are easy to remember because think of the K standing for kitchen. They're designed to put out oil fires in things like deep fryers. Now, one thing to know about fire extinguishers are some are specific to just one type of fuel. For example, it may be simply a type A extinguisher or a type K, but most can extinguish more than one type. For example, this is an ABC fire extinguisher. This is actually the most common out there. How it works is it uses a dry powder to smother the fire. Portable fire extinguishers are built to extinguish fires that are in the incipient phase. This is the phase that comes soon after ignition before the fire has really generated a lot of heat. A fire in this phase is roughly the size of an office trash can. Now you don't want to extinguish fires that have gone to the next phase, which is the growth phase. In the growth phase, the fire starts to generate heat and grows rapidly. A fire extinguisher isn't designed to extinguish a fire that large. In fact, you're going to run out of chemical before you get that far along. One thing to note when making the decision whether to evacuate or fight the fire is that most fire extinguishers only have enough extinguishing agent to last about 30 seconds. In the event of a fire, always make the decision that your safety is your priority. Never put yourself in the position where the fire is blocking you from the exit, and only fight it if you feel comfortable and safe doing so. Now, to fight a fire using a fire extinguisher, remember the PASS method. That's P-A-S-S. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the trigger, and sweep at the base of the flames from side to side. Once the fire is out, it's not uncommon for the fire to reignite a few minutes later. So make sure that you're keeping watch until you're certain that it's out and done. Okay, so now you know the basics of fire extinguisher use. Make sure you go around your work area and check that you have the right fire extinguishers for the type of fuel available. Also, check the fire extinguishers to make sure that they're properly charged and ready to go in case they're ever needed. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you later.